Have you ever imagined waking up to find all your files locked, your photos, your work, your passwords, and a message on your screen demanding thousands of dollars to get them back? This isn't a distant threat. It's happening right now, all around the world, to governments, to hospitals, to businesses, and it starts with something as simple as clicking the wrong email or forgetting to update your system. Ransomware is not just a cyber threat. It's a billion-dollar criminal enterprise that can paralyze entire organizations in a matter of hours. And what's worse, most victims never see it coming until it's too late. In this video, we're going deep into how ransomware actually works, the real-world stories of companies and cities that have been crippled by it, and what you can do to protect yourself and your business before it happens to you. What exactly is ransomware? Ransomware is a type of malicious software that locks or encrypts a victim's files. Once the malware takes over, the attacker demands payment, usually in cryptocurrency, in exchange for the decryption key to unlock the files. If you don't pay, your data stays locked. In some cases, the attackers threaten to leak your sensitive files to the public. This tactic, called double extortion, has become increasingly common. What makes ransomware particularly dangerous is that it doesn't just affect individual users. It can completely shut down companies, hospitals, and even national infrastructure. Colonial Pipeline, a password that shut down the East Coast. One of the most notorious ransomware attacks in recent history was the Colonial Pipeline incident in 2021. Colonial Pipeline is one of the largest fuel pipeline operators in the United States, supplying around 45% of the East Coast fuel. When hackers from the group DarkSide infiltrated their system, they encrypted data critical to pipeline operations. As a result, Colonial had to shut down over 5,500 miles of pipeline, disrupting fuel supplies, causing widespread panic, and leading to long lines and empty pumps at gas stations. It wasn't a sophisticated zero-day exploit that caused the breach. The attackers accessed the system using a compromised VPN password, an account that didn't even have two-factor authentication enabled. The company ultimately paid a ransom of $4.4 million in Bitcoin to restore their operations. This single weak point in a password system cost millions of dollars and triggered a national emergency. How ransomware infects systems. So how does a ransomware attack actually unfold? Typically, it starts with the attacker gaining initial access, often through a phishing email that tricks an employee into clicking a link or downloading a malicious attachment. Once inside, the malware doesn't strike immediately. It often waits, quietly scanning the network, identifying where the most valuable files and systems are. It then spreads laterally across devices, often compromising backup systems as well. When it's ready, the malware executes its encryption payload, locking everything down. Suddenly, files across the entire organization are unreadable. A ransom note appears, giving instructions on how to pay using cryptocurrency to get a decryption key. Victims are usually given a tight deadline and warned that if they don't pay, the files will be deleted or leaked publicly. WannaCry, a global crisis that could have been prevented. A global wake-up call came in 2017 with the WannaCry ransomware outbreak. This attack spread to over 200,000 machines in more than 150 countries in just a few days. It hit hospitals, banks, government agencies, and even transportation systems. One of the most affected was the UK's National Health Service. Medical staff were locked out of patient records, surgeries were cancelled, and ambulances were diverted. The damage was enormous. And the cause? WannaCry exploited a vulnerability in Microsoft Windows, one that had already been patched 2 months earlier. But many organizations hadn't updated their systems. The result was over $4 billion in global damages, all because of avoidable negligence. This showed the world how outdated software could become a gateway for chaos. Why ransomware is so devastating. What makes ransomware so effective is not just the attack itself, but how it breaks an organization's ability to function. Many victims think, we'll just restore from backups. But attackers know this. Many ransomware variants are designed to find and encrypt backups first. Others delete shadow copies and cloud backups, making recovery nearly impossible. And even if backups are available, some attackers use stolen data as leverage. This is called double extortion. They threaten to release sensitive data to the public, including customer records, employee files, or internal communications. In some cases, attackers go even further by contacting customers or vendors directly and pressuring them to demand a resolution. This is known as triple extortion. It's not just a digital lock on your files, it's a coordinated pressure campaign. Atlanta's $51,000 ransom turned into a $17 million disaster. In 2018, the city of Atlanta was targeted in a ransomware attack that brought critical services to a standstill. City employees couldn't use their computers, residents couldn't pay bills or access court services. The attackers demanded a ransom of just $51,000 in Bitcoin. Atlanta chose not to pay, but the recovery effort, including new infrastructure, security services, legal fees, and operational downtime, ended up costing the city over $17 million. That's a devastating lesson in how the real cost of ransomware is often in the cleanup, not the ransom itself. Who's launching these attacks? Most ransomware campaigns are orchestrated by highly organized cybercrime groups, often based in countries with little cooperation with international law enforcement. Groups like Revel, Lockbit, DarkSide, and Clop operate with near impunity. They run like corporations, with structured hierarchies, development teams, and even customer support for victims. Some offer ransomware as a service where they license their tools to affiliates who carry out attacks and split the profits. Anyone with basic technical knowledge and access to the dark web can now launch ransomware campaigns with minimal effort. The barriers are low and the profits are enormous. Kaseya, one vendor, thousands of victims. One example of just how far this can go was the Kaseya breach in 2021. Kaseya is a software company that provides ape management tools to thousands of businesses around the world. Hackers from the Revel group exploited a vulnerability in Kaseya's software, and through it they pushed ransomware to hundreds of managed service providers, and in turn, to thousands of their customers. This was a supply chain attack on a massive scale. Grocery store chains had to shut down. Schools were impacted. Businesses around the world were locked out of their systems. The attackers demanded $70 million in Bitcoin to release a universal decryption key. This wasn't just about one company getting breached. It was about using one trusted vendor as a weapon to hit thousands of targets at once. Is paying the ransom worth it? Some might ask, why not just pay the ransom? And many do. Hospitals, cities, and companies that can't afford extended downtime often feel they have no choice. Paying can sometimes restore operations quickly, but it's never guaranteed. Some victims never receive a working decryption key. Others are targeted again, because once you pay, you're marked as someone who will pay. Worse, ransom payments fuel the ransomware industry. In 2023 alone, ransomware gangs made over $1.1 billion in payments. Every dollar paid strengthens the ecosystem that allows these attacks to flourish. Hollywood Hospital held hostage for $17,000. Another sobering example came in 2016 with Hollywood Presbyterian Medical Center. The hospital was hit by ransomware that encrypted patient data, disrupted systems, and forced medical staff to rely on pen and paper. After days of chaos, they paid a $17,000 ransom in Bitcoin to get back online. It was a relatively small amount, but it showed how even critical institutions like hospitals were unprepared and vulnerable. More importantly, it demonstrated that ransomware was no longer just an ed issue, it was a public safety issue. How you can protect yourself and your business. The good news is that many ransomware attacks can be prevented with basic security hygiene. One of the most critical steps is keeping systems updated. Most ransomware exploits known vulnerabilities for which patches already exist. Applying software updates and security patches promptly can close the door before attackers even get in. Strong authentication is also key. Requiring multi-factor authentication on all accounts, especially administrative or remote access accounts, can block many attacks that rely on stolen credentials. Disabling unnecessary features like macros in Office files and remote desktop access can limit attack vectors. Maintaining reliable offline backups is essential. Backups should not be connected to your primary network, and they should be tested regularly. Many organizations have backups but never test their recovery process, only to find them useless in an emergency. Employee awareness is just as important. Most ransomware enters through phishing emails. Training staff to recognize suspicious messages can prevent that initial compromise. And finally, having a detailed incident response plan will make a critical difference. Knowing who to call, what to shut down, and how to communicate during an attack can save hours, or even days, of chaos. Final thoughts. Are you ready? The cost of ransomware goes beyond ransom payments. It includes downtime, customer loss, legal penalties, regulatory fines, and long-term reputational damage. Some companies go out of business entirely. For others, it takes years to rebuild. And when infrastructure, hospitals, or schools are targeted, the consequences aren't just financial. They affect real people in the real world. Ransomware is not going away. In fact, it's becoming more targeted, more sophisticated, and more profitable. But the good news is, you're not helpless. Most ransomware attacks can be stopped before they start, with vigilance, preparation, and a commitment to cybersecurity best practices. Don't wait until after the breach. Ask yourself now, if ransomware hit your business or your city tomorrow, would you be ready? If this video helped you understand the threat, share it with someone who needs to see it. Leave a comment with your thoughts or questions, and don't forget to subscribe for more real-world cybersecurity breakdowns. Until next time, stay alert, stay prepared, and stay safe.